Minnesota has become ground zero for the biggest fraud scandal in modern American history. Millions of dollars being funneled through Somali nonprofits while Democrat politicians look the other way. Independent reporter Nick Shirley exposes ring of fraud where daycares have no children, where offices that are supposed to sell health insurance rather, sell no health insurance. This is absolutely preposterous and exposes how much of a joke Democratic leadership in Minnesota really is. Next on the Conservative Revolt, we will expose. And these clips will blow your mind away. Welcome to the Conservative Revolt. I'm John Aguilera. And next, I'm going to share a clip with you. We're just going to dive right into it. I'm going to share a clip with you by Nick Shirley, as I mentioned in the intro, that he exposed this whole ring of fraud. And honestly, I'm speechless how this was let to go on year after year after years as federal taxpayers are left with the bill. But without further ado, let's check out the clip.
Alone in 2025 has received $1.9 million from the government. And the strange things about these childcare centers is there's no one here right now. It's midday on a weekday. If you were to try to go inside, it's completely closed and the windows are all blacked out. No one's working. Midday, children should be in here, and this place is licensed for 99 children, and this is the outside. There's no windows, no nothing. And like I said, they literally spelt the word wrong on their sign. This is open and blatant fraud taking place here inside of Minnesota. The government is complicit with this, and this is just one of the hundreds of child daycare centers here inside of Minneapolis being ran by the Somali population. It's sad that it's happening here in Minnesota, and it stinks that it's happening and it's being labeled on the Somali population. However, that's just the facts of what's happening here inside of Minnesota. $1.9 million for this daycare center.
So this video just left me speechless. Completely. They can't even spell the name on the billboard correctly, let alone they're supposed to educate your children. $1.9 million from the federal government. Where's the 99 children that they're licensed for? No children present in that physical location. Where's the money? Where's the money? Who has it? This is just some of the questions that we encounter. But Kash Patel has opened an investigation against that particular daycare and Somalis. And he has threatened to denaturalize and to bring these people to justice. But the damage is done. But I'll read you some of the remarks that the New York Post is reporting on regarding what Kash Patel is saying. FBI Director Kash Patel sells multi-million-dollar fraud uncovered in Minnesota. It's an injustice tip. It's just a tip to a very large iceberg, as he threatened to convict Somali scammers with denaturalization and deportation. Patel said FBI surged personnel and investigative resources the North Star State to take down fraud schemes, and even before they had gained attention online lengthy social media posts. Many of those indicted in the fraud were Minnesota Somali population, the largest immigrant group in the state. To date, FBI had dismantled $250 million fraud scheme that stole food and meant for vulnerable children during the COVID-19, Patel wrote. A part of me reaches the conclusion that some people look the other way or fail to address this because they didn't want to be labeled racist. And I'm not running cover for these Democrats because they're scumbags. They're truly scumbags. They're watching these people rip us off, and for the sake of maintaining power, say nothing. But I truthfully believe that racist label on you does scare people. So a lot of people just look the other way. How could this go on for so long? And I honestly, the conclusion I can reach in without this becoming a conspiracy theory is the fact that and it's the obvious thing to say, people are benefiting from it. And in a lengthy reporting by CBS that you'll see, it explains the complete and utter fraud that a lot of people were conducting and how they were benefiting and the lavish lifestyle that we're living off of this. But it's to me, the comical part in all this is that if it would have been an immigrant group, and the only immigrant group that I can think that leans Republicans or Cubans, if this would have been going on in Miami with a bunch of Cubans, this would have been triple the story. It will not be a Nick Shirley, an independent reporter, looking into this. It would be every single news outlet, from the less prominent to the biggest, CBS, NBC, ABC, will be all over Miami looking for answers, and the protests machine will be out in full force, denouncing these people, and of course blaming Trump. This is absolutely ridiculous how this is going on. But let me share another clip from Nick Shirley. As I mentioned on the top of the show, he goes to an office looking for healthcare insurance, and by now you should get the thing what he's going to find. But I'll let you see it for yourself and draw your own conclusion, then we'll discuss.
C. Now we have another Helping Hands Home Care LLC, another healthcare company. Present Help right here. We're looking for the best rates of healthcare here inside this building because we have so many options. Who can we talk about getting the best healthcare?
I don't know.
No?
Sorry.
All right. List of all of the healthcare companies. Loads of them right here. We want healthcare.
No, it's okay.
Yes, we'd like to speak about getting healthcare here.
No.
Why can't I get healthcare here?
No, wait.
The biggest thing that stood out to me is the lack of fear by these people, the lack of decency, the lack of, like, he walks in, they're like, oh, we don't know. Healthcare, I mean, insurance for healthcare insurance. We don't know. Get out of here. I guess the lack of fear to be caught. I mean, this is wide open. These are buildings who are supposed to be running healthcare insurance companies in there or helping people get healthcare insurance, but there's no fear. There's just, this is like a charade going, and there's no fear whatsoever of prosecution. They're asking, who are you? They're a little bit fearful, but for the most part, they're just going on very nonchalant. And this is, I guess, not surprising because it's a blue state, and how, as long as you're on their side, they're going to let you get away with murder. And this is kind of the thing what people are tired of. And this is the deeper issue with all this. That people are so tired that when their side does something, it's like, well, let's try to sweep it under the rug. As long as you're on their side, nothing really happens to you. And you can see it by these people's reactions. These people are I mean, they're questioning him. They're kind of bothered that he's there exposing them. But for the most part, they don't really care. Like, they're not even concerned in the slightest about getting in trouble. And I am curious to see throughout time. I know Cash Patel, I read to you what Cash Patel said about denaturalization and deportation. But deportation is not enough. These people need to do hard time. This bullshit that, and especially, and I saw a clip, and I did not save the clip, but I did see it, and I'll share this with you as far as the information. There was an investigative reporter from Fox, from their local Fox station, that they were paying people to register their kid, but they weren't taking them at all. So essentially, these people were getting paid to stay. The daycare was happening at home. It was a diversion of the funds, and they were paying people. The people that were getting handed an envelope and bringing their kids to the daycare and turning around and taking them back. These people, deportation is not enough. They need to do time. We need to set an example that you're not going to come to our country and do this bullshit. Because what's stopping the next group in the next blue state to do that? And I find it comical how they say, well, this happens in every state, but not at that fucking level. I'm sure fraud happens everywhere, and it happens on both sides. I'm not here to say that, oh my God, the right is completely, they're angels when it comes to all this. But damn, just the first Somali day, 1.9 million. Like they say in Scarface, it's not peanuts. So when you hear these people say, oh, it happens in both sides, and Republicans are just making it an issue about Somalis, those are the facts. But let me share a clip with you from CBS. And this one, if you thought the first two were nuts, this one, people are buying cars. Well, I'll let you see it for yourself. You can just check it out.
Jonah Kaplan of CBS News Minnesota has an exclusive look now at how fraudsters spent hundreds of millions in taxpayer dollars.
A honeymoon in the Maldives, a fleet of luxury cars. Here's a box with more than $270,000 in cash. This was all evidence from a new trove of files obtained exclusively by CBS News, showing how a group of convicted Minnesota fraudsters spent taxpayer dollars. One text message reads, "You are going to be the richest 25-year-old.
We're not even at the end of the beginning of our pursuit of the stolen money and of the people who stole it."
U.S. Attorney Daniel Rosen leads the office digging into the wave of COVID-era fraud that hit Minnesota.
So how much money are we talking about stolen from the American taxpayer?
I can say with great comfort, well in excess of $1 billion.
In the past 3 years, 87 defendants have been charged, 61 convicted. The majority of them are Somali American. Minnesota has the nation's largest Somali population. The perpetrators are accused of ripping off state-run programs intended to feed low-income kids, house the disabled, and provide services to autistic children.
This was a get-rich scheme.
Andy Luger was the U.S. attorney who first examined this fraud. He left in January.
One of the things we discovered is that a number of the people involved were buying investment property, resort property in Kenya.
Wire transfers reviewed by CBS News also show more than $1 million went to Chinese banks. The Trump administration has said it's investigating whether any of the money fell into the hands of terror groups like al-Shabaab in Somalia. But both Luger and Rosen agree the evidence so far shows the criminals were only interested in getting rich.
So there's no evidence that any of these convicted or those who are charged sent a check and directly gave it to al-Shabaab?
I think that's a fair characterization.
These are federally funded programs. They happen in every U.S. state. What happened here in Minnesota that allowed this fraud to materialize, to metastasize?
It appears that the people at the highest levels of responsibility in the government of the state of Minnesota looked the other way.
A spokeswoman for Minnesota Governor Tim Walz tonight tells us that fighting the fraud, it's his, quote, top priority, and fraud is something that happens in states red and blue. Tomorrow, the governor plans to name a new statewide fraud czar. Members of the Somali community, meanwhile, they're warning that they, as a community, are being held collectively responsible.
So this is ridiculous, man. People going to honeymoon in the Maldives. What's the last time you went to the Maldives? Yeah, fucking never. So us, the taxpayers, being used and abused, and God forbid if you say anything about this whole fraud scandal, I'm sure even myself, me being a colored man, I'm sure I'll be labeled a fucking racist for speaking out about this. And this is the bullshit I think overall that the American people are tired of. Foreigners being put first ahead of U.S. citizens. That is really the biggest story that we can take from all this, aside of the whole fraud. When's the last time you got money for daycare? When's the last time you got anything from the government than a big middle finger? And people buying property in other countries, going on lavish vacations, buying exotic cars on taxpayers' expense. And this is happening across the spectrum of NGOs in this country, allegedly. And it's something that people are tired of. The foreign aid here, the foreign aid there, sending money to see if monkeys are more promiscuous on cocaine, bullshit like that. The government spending nonsense and fraud that is going on at every level. That's what people are sick and tired of. And this expose kind of embodies what's going on with the mismanagement of the government. That's what people are tired of. But where is Tampon Tim in all this? Is he going to prison? I certainly hope so. Where's all these scumbag politicians in Minnesota on this? The Jacob Fries that goes to, that's the mayor of Minneapolis, that goes and sits in a Somali restaurant and can barely chew that fucking goop they were feeding him. Excuse my language. Where's all these people in all this? And this is my message to people in Minnesota, whoever in that area happens to listen to the sound of my voice. Mike Lindell's running for governor of Minnesota. And don't let these fucking scumbag Democrats and white liberals and whatever you want to call these communists, don't let them use the typical boogeyman. Vote all these fucking clowns out of office. Like, you got, and I know it's easy for me to say, me giving my skin color, and I know that the label is harder on whites than it is on colored people. But don't let these people fucking fool you into this bullshit and vote for these scumbags anymore. Vote for Mike Lindell for governor of Minnesota and get all this nonsense out of your state. Get these people the hell out of this country. And I know a lot of people say, oh, we shouldn't generalize a group of people based on the actions of a few. And that's entirely true. I'm not going to sit here and say that all of them are guilty. But the ones that deserve to stay can stay. Everybody else needs to fucking go, and they need to go to prison. That's the bigger issue with all this. It needs to be set an example that if you're going to come from somewhere else in the world, you're not going to pull this bullshit. And if the American politicians, for the sake of power, want to sit there and defraud us and look the other way, they should pay the heavy price too. This is bullshit. But let me share two last clips. Far as these, when I'm speaking about these politicians, here's a Peggy Flanagan. She's the lieutenant governor of Minnesota, and look how the disgraceful this woman is. Instead of making them assimilate to American civilization, she's assimilating to Somalis. This is an utter clown show that you got American politicians that are supposed to represent the people pandering to a group of people in this country. But I'll let you see it. It's truthfully shameful.
Assalamu alaikum. My name's Peggy Flanagan. I am the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, and I'm really honored and humbled to be here with all of you today. I am incredibly clear that the Somali community is part of the fabric of the state of Minnesota. I think about my friendship with Nimco. We've been friends for almost 25 years. And when I think of being part of Minnesota and growing up here, the Somali community has always been a part of my Minnesota.
As you can see, this woman even opens up in their language. You're the lieutenant governor of the state of Minnesota, and you're pandering to fucking Somalis. Let that sink in. These are the scumbags that are sit there and tell you that you're racist for not wanting these people that are defrauding you here. These are the same scumbags that'll tell you that diversity is our strength. No, diversity is their strength. They want to suck up our resources, but not face our responsibilities. This just got to stop. People in Minnesota, you got to get out and vote. You got to get active. You got to get these scumbags out of there. But last and not least, the most prominent scumbag of them all, a Ilhan Omar. And this is the gaslighting and lack of decency these people have and contempt for the American public. But I'll let you see it for yourself, and then I'll go on to remarks. Here is an immigrant woman that should be grateful for the fact that she is what she is today because she is in the United States of America. If she was in Somalia right now, if she was alive, no telling where she would be if she wouldn't be in this country. She wouldn't be as prominent as she is today. And married to a white man, which now allegations has come out and scrutiny has come out that he's erased some things from his profile, from his financial profile, that he might be involved in all this. And it wouldn't surprise me, allegedly, he might be involved in all this, according to Fox News in a report. I'll dig up the clip, and I'll dig up the clip and share with you. How are you going to gaslight people, especially white people, and say they're the worst thing when you're married to one? I mean, first of all, the contradiction in that statement and how stupid she thinks that people are. How you think these group of people are the worst, but you're married to them? You can't make this shit up. They're the worst group of people, but you're fucking married to them. Do you not wake up next to this dude every day? They're the most dangerous thing on the. They're creating the most. They're committing the most crimes. She says, but you're waking up to this dude. You're willing to sit there and take vows and marry a guy and share a life with him, share a home. How in the fuck are you gonna share a home with the most dangerous people? It's like me saying, tigers are dangerous, and I got one in my house. This is ridiculous. And I'll share that clip here from Fox News, and I'll let you decide. There's a lot of clips that I'm showing because images speak 1,000 words. I can sit here and rant all day about it, but when you see this for yourself, this is absolutely ridiculous. You be the judge.
Critics are also asking why Congresswoman Ilhan Omar's husband reportedly purged key officer official details from his $25 million venture capital firm's website. Now, this move comes amid growing questions about the couple's wealth and possible connection to the welfare fraud. According to her latest financial disclosure in May, the couple's net worth surged 3,500% in just 1 year. It estimates now putting it anywhere from $6 million to $30 million. Their net worth went up 3,500%. How do you explain that? And then talk about the scrubbing on the website. That doesn't look good. What's Walz doing about that? Is he looking into this?
So as you can see, there's some allegations that they could be involved. They allegedly could be involved. That it just doesn't look good for her. It looks kind of sketchy for her, and her coming from Minnesota and all the Somali scams. But I'm sure she took steps to try to distance herself from all this. I'm sure she's not going to go to prison. Tampon Tim's not going to go to prison. That Peggy chick, nobody's going to go to fucking prison. And that shouldn't surprise us as Americans, that the elite, the political elite, don't go to prison. And you know, all this talk about Pam Bondi and Patel, man, let somebody go to fucking prison. Give us some hope that the justice system works in this country. But I'll leave you with this. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe.